Oh my God, we are back with another edition of Grindhouse Chic. As always, I am Robert Schneider, and I'm joined by the timely Matt Armstrong. Brian Baldwin will be here when he gets here. And Matt, I think we have a hell of an episode today. We're going to be discussing Righting Wrongs, the Hong Kong action flick, which something about it shocked me that I never knew until today. But
What's that?
that it was a Category 3 film.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
I, w-
Okay.
I was shocked, but we'll get to that later. Um, I have lots of things I kind of want to talk about, but one thing first. Every time I go on Letterboxd and I see a movie, and there's always something at the bottom of that movie is that you still want to watch it. Some of the movies don't
Yeah.
surprise me because they were they've been sitting in your collection. They might be recent. You haven't opened them, but today I saw one that shocked me. That sent shivers down my spine. That made me question your film taste.
Okay.
I saw that you want to watch You've Got Mail. I was all set to ridicule
uh,
our mutual friend Joel, who just recently logged it. But the fact that he logged it wasn't as bad as you going, I want to watch a Meg Ryan Tom Hanks movie
yeah.
based on the old AOL You've Got Mail.
I can explain. Uh,
Please do. Please do.
so I'm looking now. It does appear that I have over 11,000 films in my watch list.
Okay.
But I think I touched on this before, but um, if I like go to a movie, I will like also go to the director and like add all of his movies, and I'll go to like the actors and add all of their movies. And I have seen You've Got Mail, but I it kind of gives me a way to see like what I because I want to write reviews for everything is the was the whole point of me making a letterbox. So I've seen a bunch of movies, but I'm treating this as like I'm starting now with writing reviews. So I had to throw You've Got Mail on there.
You know, I think about writing reviews, and then I realize there's so much better stuff I could do with my time.
Yeah,
I mean,
like watching more movies.
there are people who write reviews that just wax poetic that are going to be read by one person.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about actually doing a feature of finding the dumbest reviews that I can find on Letterboxd and reading it on here. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Have you watched any good films this week?
I did. I was hoping you would bring it up. I watched a movie you recommended in your 24-hour horror movie marathon.
Ooh, which one?
I watched The Baby.
Ooh. Ooh, what a fucked up movie.
I actually really enjoyed it.
It's a great film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those films that I never heard of until Severin released it. And I was very happy with my Severin DVD and then my Severin Blu-ray, but I'm very happy with the Arrow version as well.
hmm Yeah, I watched it I added it to my Hooptober list after you had brought it up, and that was the first one I started with, and I thought it was really good, really well made. I like did not see that twist come in. Um, yeah, just it was good. I was surprised.
You, yeah, it's a weird movie, and I think it was only PG when it was released.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's a messed up film,
hmm
messed up. Um,
I was making my wife watch a little bit of it because she's a social worker, and she didn't last very long.
I'm sure that movie is not realistic to social work in the '70s or today. Um, I did you watch anything else?
Um, no, I watched this documentary on Netflix about this football player and super interesting story, but I had forgot that it had happened. I don't think you watch football, so you might not remember it, but
No.
yeah.
Was it the one about the kid who faked the girlfriend?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
that
seen
was
a lot
it.
of people talk about that one.
Yeah.
Um, I went and saw two movies in the theater this week. I went and saw Clerks 3.
Nice.
So I think you know how much I don't like Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
I think here's the thing. I still give him my money. Like he'll release something, I'll still buy it because I like the idea of Kevin Smith. I like the fact that he was one of us who went in 1992 and made a really really good film, Clerks. And since then, he's had some moments. Like in '97, I thought Chasing Amy was a great film. It doesn't hold up today. In fact, it's pretty cringy today. I think Mallrats has gotten a little bit better with age, but he's not a good filmmaker. He doesn't make good movies.
Yeah.
And I thought Clerks 2 was an abomination that had no business being a Clerks movie, especially because it had a fucking dance sequence in it. But Clerks 3 was a really good movie. There were people in the audience crying at the end of it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't like it, I would say they cried because we all spent $16.50 on it, which is way too much money for a film, and it was a Fathom event, so I had to pay for parking too, so I'm not happy, but it was like, all right, you finally had something interesting to say, and you created a movie with a very emotional third act that made me wonder where the fuck has this Kevin Smith been since 1992. And I also find it weird that next year, because Clerks didn't come out theatrically until 93, that it'll be 30, that movie is 30 years old.
Yeah. That's been happening with a lot of movies with me lately, where I'm like, I'll see them pop up with like 30th anniversary edition, and I'm like, what?
But no, it's weird. It makes me feel older
Mm-hmm.
that I've reached a point where a movie that movies that I saw theatrically are now 30, 40 years old.
Yeah.
Like last night, I watched Stripes, and I'm like, I saw this at a friend's birthday party when we were preteens, and now I'm older than most of the characters in that movie. And first of all, I watched the extended cut. That's what I have on Blu-ray, and the extended cut's a horrible film. Like there was a reason that 17 minutes wasn't in the theatrical cut.
For
But
Stripes.
I also didn't know I could watch it on the theatrical cut on Hulu, which I would have done if I knew that. I didn't do my research, but no, I'm getting to the point where it's like movies that just seem like they came out a year ago are decades old, and
Yeah.
I find that strange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking like it just happened with me, like when the new Matrix came out. I was like thinking back to like, oh, I can remember going to see the first Matrix, and it seemed like it was like, you know, a couple years ago, 10 years at the most. And I looked it up and it was 99, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was 97.
No, maybe, yeah. But either way, I definitely did not think it was a 90s movie.
To me, I knew it was. I remember being a '90s movie because the sequel came out in came out in it was '99, and the sequel came out in 2000. Both sequels came out in 2003,
Hmm.
and I remember I went on a date to see The Matrix 2, and then after we met her friends at a sushi restaurant, and I didn't realize it was me meeting her friends and them judging me as her boyfriend at the time. And I was angry because the second Matrix was such a bad movie.
Yeah.
The third, I didn't see the third until I bought the collection on Blu-ray, and I'm like, they should have just stopped at the first. I haven't seen the fourth one yet.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it makes you feel old.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The other movie I saw theatrically was Pearl.
Ooh, okay. How was that?
I really liked it. Um, what I liked was it was such a well. First of all, let me tell you what I didn't like because there's more to it what I liked than I didn't like. What I didn't like was I had no um again there was no tension because I know Pearl and her husband. You saw X, right? We
Yep.
talked about X, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Pearl and her we know the fate of Pearl and her husband in 1979. So I knew she wasn't going to get caught. I knew that there would be decades of her killing. That said, I thought this movie was a brilliant character study of an abused girl who hit that breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people have said Mia Goth should be considered for an Oscar because she delivers this amazing monologue at the end of the film. I wouldn't go too far because this movie is nowhere close to being an Academy Award caliber nominated film, but it kept my interest for the 90 plus minutes, and I didn't walk out hating the franchise. I didn't walk out hating Ty West. He again, there was a vast tonal shift between X and this film. X was
Mm-hmm.
a horror film. X was a slasher film. This was a melodrama with horror with tints
Hmm.
of horror. And I think everyone in the cast did a great job, and I'm looking forward to the third film in the saga.
Which one do you prefer of the two? I know they're different, but
I prefer X, um, because I thought X was a nice twist on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre type film.
yeah.
Um, I think this movie adds a little bit more context to it. I also think it was part of me thinks it was unnecessary because I didn't really need that context.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it is kind of weird, I think. I mean, I feel like I don't know. I feel like a prequel wasn't necessary, and even the entire time you're watching X, the prequel wasn't necessary until they throw that little bit on at the end where you find out she's like the preacher's daughter.
and that has nothing to do with anything.
Really?
I mean, it's not in this film. So they wrote it when they were in quarantine before they started shooting X, and this film seemed like because the movie takes place during the Spanish flu,
Okay.
and you see people wearing masks and having to be in isolation with if they think they're sick, and I thought that was interesting. Again, it was a totally unnecessary movie, but I'm glad they made it
Yeah.
because I'm beginning to like Ty West more and more as a director. And
Yeah.
the only other movie I think I've seen Mia Goth in was Suspiria, and I can't tell you who she played in that movie.
Yeah, I
But
feel like it's kind of rare that horror films turn into like good good series now, kind of.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you make a horror movie, you're automatically making it into a series. I just read that Chris Rock wants to make a sequel to Spiral.
I still haven't seen that. It's on
You,
my watch list.
have you seen any of the Saw movies?
Yeah, I've seen I think all of them actually.
All right, I still haven't seen Jigsaw, but let me tell you my problem
Hmm.
with the Saw movies. You have to be a multi-billionaire to be able to construct any of that shit.
Yeah.
It's not like the average Joe can go, huh, I'm going to build a murder mayhem game for people to get out of.
Hmm.
There's a lot of planning. Not that I would know, but
That's why I thought the first one was actually like a really good movie because it was so small scale. It just took place like in a room, and ever since that, like is as they've gone on, they've gotten more and more extravagant and ridiculous. And
I hated the first one. I thought it was
really,
I thought it was such a bad movie.
I mean, I remember. I mean, I'd have to revisit it, but I remember really thinking it was good when it first came out.
Here's the thing: I like it now more that the franchise has gone crazier.
Do you?
Yeah, I think Jigsaw's a great villain.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit believable yet unbelievable at the same time. But he's only a man. He's a man who has
Yeah.
acolytes, and that's what makes him dangerous. But no, I thought Spiral was an interesting film. I'm sorry, Spiral from the Book of Saw. But
Uh-huh.
again, it was unnecessary.
So is it like directly? I mean, it's a Saw movie, right? It's not like some weird like offshoot that's barely connected. It's like an actual
It,
related
it,
movie.
it's connected. It's
Okay.
connected. It takes place in the same universe,
Okay.
but I don't want to spoil it since you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it has Sam Jackson, Chris Rock, and the guy who's on *Handmaid's Tale*, who's Max something. I don't know his name.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I don't know. I it was so unnecessary. It was unnecessary. But I'm a sucker for those films. Um, a couple of things I want to talk about before Brian gets here. One thing that I think is interesting. First of all, tomorrow I'm excited. I'm getting the Steckler box set in the mail,
Hmm.
and I cannot wait to dig into that.
So are you like familiar with the movies?
I've seen one of his films.
Okay.
The
What's the overall kind of thing to
Actually, I take it back.
ready for?
I've seen one of his adult films that Vinegar Syndrome released.
Okay.
Um, he's better than Andy Milligan, my opinion.
Okay.
I don't think he's as good as Al Adamson.
Okay.
They might be on par with each other. I think Al Adamson, the the Al Adamson box set, I think was one of the best things Severin has ever done. Again, they because they had that documentary in there for context, which I wish they put on the Milligan one, and they did one for Steckler as well. But
Okay.
if you do want to know more about him, there's a great film streaming on Amazon called American Grindhouse,
Okay.
and he's a pretty big part of it. But I can't wait. I can't wait to get it because the majority of his films, except for the adult ones, look pretty friggin' good.
Yeah, this one's like a super. I mean, pretty much everything I buy is a blind buy, but this one is super blind buy because I know nothing about it. Even the pictures that they put on the website for the movies, I'm like, good God, what is this? Do I want to buy this? So I'm excited to kind of dig into and see what I'm getting into.
I have to ask, why would you spend that much money on a blind buy?
I don't know. It seemed like everyone was talking about it and they were excited about it. I mean, I guess that sounds like FOMO, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah, just looking to find like new things, you know.
but how often do you actually watch it? Watch all this stuff?
Um, I mean, it's picking up.
Like for me, um, it's getting harder and harder to watch stuff, like because of work and.
Yeah,
But like yesterday, I didn't do anything. I didn't leave my apartment except to go grocery shopping and just watch some movie. Just watch. I watched 4 movies yesterday. I watched
nice.
Mallrats, Stripes, Machete Maidens Unleashed, and what the fuck was the other one? Like I didn't watch anything that was like Hot Fuzz.
Hmm.
But yeah, the Steckler set, the only one I've seen was the incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed up zombies from 1963.
Yeah, that looks like it's his most popular one on here.
Yep. Yep. I remember. I don't remember. I've seen it on VHS, and that's it. Probably around the same time I saw Clerks. It's
So
gonna
I
be
I see that it does have a 1.7. Um, so are these like so bad they're good movies or
some of them just stop it so bad, from what I'm gathering. At least his adult films
nice.
do. You could tell he had no joy making them.
Okay.
Kind of like Milligan with the 42nd Street film. Like you could tell he didn't want to make a porno.
Mm, okay. Well, we'll see how they go. Hopefully I enjoy it more than you enjoyed the the witch horror box set or whatever that was.
Have you started? Have you watched anything in there?
No.
Folk horror is so boring.
A full core, yeah, full
But,
core.
but but here's the thing. Like there are some folk horror movies I like. I love The Wicker Man. I love Midsummer, especially the director's cut. But a lot of the movies in the set, like I tried watching Field in England, and I wanted to poke my eyes out. I thought it was that boring,
Yeah.
and
I mean, I
I
can
I,
see that, yeah.
I regret spending money on that. So now there are movies in there that I've seen before, like Dark Waters when I got the DVD from No Shame because it came with a really cool mask. But I don't I don't know. I don't that and the first Christopher Lee set were just purchases. I'm like, I bought these because of FOMO.
Yeah. So do you ever like get rid of stuff or do you just keep it all?
I keep it all. I've sold stuff in the past and then I regretted selling it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me because you never know when you're going to want to watch something. Like
Yep.
again, last night I was in the movie room and I'm still not fully unpacked. I don't have enough shelves, and I was looking for something and I came across Stripes and I'm like, you know what? Let's watch this. And I feel more obligated to watch physical media than I do streaming because streaming I can just turn off, and
Right.
physical media there's more of like, you know what, I went and dug this out, I moved back and forth, put it in there. I might as well watch it because
Right.
something told me to grab it off the shelf. I did open up a movie a few weeks ago and I can't remember the name of it, and it was a post-apocalyptic nuclear war movie that starred the guy who played the dad on This Is Us and Rocky's son and Rocky Balboa. Milo Viggo.
Milo
He was on Heroes as well.
Ventimiglia.
Yeah, and Lord German from Hostel 2 and Lucifer. And I put it on and I'm like, you know what? First of all, I should have looked at the running time because this is a little bit this is around 2 hours. And second of all, I don't think I can handle watching a movie about people locked in a bomb shelter for 2 hours going all Lord of the Flies.
Oh, I see it here. The Divide.
Yeah. And it was something I bought probably a decade ago, and I finally decided to open it, and I was thinking, why the fuck did I buy that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm thankful this year. Like I've been more, I've been more cautious on my purchases.
I feel like I only slightly have. I wanted to be more cautious, but I think the only thing that I've cut down on is instead of getting all of the partner labels, I've started to just get the ones that were only limited to like 1,000 for the slip.
You should just get the ones you want to watch.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if
These things are like Pokemon. I got to collect them all.
you don't. You don't. I have made a decision. I'm going to resubscribe again next year because this year I thought has been really good for Vinegar Syndrome.
Hmm.
Yet I still have not watched any of the three main Vinegar Syndrome titles from August.
Okay.
I haven't watched The Birds 2, the two Mexican westerns, or The Incredible Melting Man. I have watched all of. Let me see. I've watched most of the the partner label stuff. I tried watching After Blue. I just couldn't do it.
No.
They just kept on shouting Kate Bush, Kate Bush.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was telling my friend about that. I was trying to think of what movie you were talking about, but I couldn't remember it. We were talking about all this, how Kate Bush is like having a resurgence out of nowhere.
Yeah. I don't know her. She's a great singer, great performer, great writer. It's like I at some point, if I maybe make it through all of After Blue, they'll explain it more. But I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. It was a beautifully looking film. I just wish it, I need to be in the right frame of mind to watch it, and I wish I still did drugs.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I was just looking at the pictures and yeah, that's exactly the first thing I thought of.
Yeah. Um. Have you ever been so pissed off at a label?
Um, I don't think so, no. Um, I do kind of get pissed off at Shout Factory sometimes, but
Oh, by
not
the
like
way,
super pissed off
today's their 10th anniversary.
of Shout Factory.
Yeah, it's the 10 years of Shout
Oh,
Factory.
nice. Well, here's a gift for you. I'm about to talk shit.
Let's hear it, brother. Let's hear it.
No, I just hate when they um so they'll get these like, old crappy movies and they'll limit it on the website to just like, 1,000 copies. You can only get them on the website. They put no special features on them and they charge like $30 for them.
Okay.
Um and we talked about FOMO, and I feel like I have to get them every single time because they're limited and you can only get them on their website. So I always get them, and I'm always pissed when I get it because it's just such a bare bones disc, and it's not worth $30. There's no cool slip. It's just it's just a movie. It's just a disc with a movie on it, and that's it.
There,
But
there
they,
was
but
there was one that I saw that came out, the Hot Box, which is a Pam Grier film shot in the Philippines,
mm-hmm.
and I really like that movie, but I'm also not going to pay $30 for it because there there's so much other stuff coming out like in the
Mm-hmm.
next couple months. Like today, I just pre-ordered from Grindhouse Video. I from Imprint, I ordered the post nuclear war film Testament, which if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. It stars Jane Alexander, Roxanne Zal, William Devane, a young Kevin Costner, and Rebecca De Mornay. It was made for PBS and got limited theatrical release, and I think um, it's basically the effects of nuclear war on a small community right outside of San Francisco. But
I just added it to my watch list.
it's really good. And I also ordered also from Imprint, Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains, which is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. They used to show it on USA Night Flight all the time. I can't remember. Laura Dern's in it, and why can't I remember the main woman? She was in Love, Eat, Pray, Love, I think. Diane. She was in The Outsiders.
Diane
Brian.
Lane.
Yes, Diane Lane. Yeah, but it's a fantastic film, and I don't know why it hasn't been released on Blu-ray until now from an Aussie company.
Hmm.
Brian, before we get into our conversation of righting wrongs, have you seen any good films? Have you watched any good movies this week?
Went and watched Pearl this evening.
What did you
I have a
think?
feeling that one might be discussed later. So, um, honestly, I was very pleased with it. It definitely went a different direction than I was expecting, but I enjoyed it. Um, and of course, I'm very much looking forward to what we all know now will be the third installment in the franchise.
Yeah, but
so.
I think we're going to be waiting a little while for that one.
Really?
Because that one hasn't been shot yet.
Yeah, well, true. I mean, I guess there's no way we could hope for a quick turnaround like we had from X to Pearl.
It's funny. Before I heard they were doing a third one, I was talking to a coworker about it. I'm like, man, it would be something if she was able to shoot a third film in secret. And we get that in 6 months, but
yeah, no, I really did very much enjoy it. It's very new to the theater, so I don't want to say too much. I don't want to say anything because I feel like it could. I don't know. You've seen it, right? So I think you kind of know why I'm hesitant to say anything, right? Like you don't want to. I don't know.
We've already talked about it. We didn't spoil anything because here's the thing: you know what happens to Pearl and Howard. You know their fate in X, and it's just the journey there. And I will just say the third act of this movie was great, especially the monologue.
Oh God, dude. Yeah, I guess that's kind of a good way to set up what I could also give as a completely spoiler-free review. I will say that if you're going into this one expecting a tremendous amount of blood and guts or even horror in general, you might be a little bit disappointed. It is very much a character-driven story. It's a character piece, and man, Mia Goth, if she hadn't won you over until now, holy shit. I mean, and of course, she's never going to get the love she deserves because no one gives a shit about fucking horror. But dude, oh my God, her performance in this, and I know this is kind of a cliche one to bring up, but I mean, as far as a female lead in a horror film, I mean, I don't think I've seen a performance like that, since Toni Collette, in Hereditary. And I mean, it just blew me in a completely different type of character as well. I thought it was phenomenal. It was just kind of a different tone than I was expecting. But once I settled in and realized what Ty West was doing with this film, I was like, okay, I'm on board with this. I like this. It's just a little bit more slow paced, I think, than what most people would expect after seeing X.
Well, no, there was a complete tonal shift. This was a melodrama with tints of horror. And I know, again, we already talked about it. Mia Goth does not deserve an Oscar for this movie. This movie is nowhere near.
You didn't like her performance?
Oh, I thought her performance great. It was not an Oscar-worthy performance, though.
I guess maybe I was just because I really liked her in X, and I've liked her in everything I've seen her in, but I've never seen her give a performance that was that emotional. So maybe I am just still riding the high of that, of like, oh my God, this girl can fucking act.
It was great. And here's the thing. I think this movie is going to get her Academy Award winning movie. Mm-hmm. Someone's going to go, you know what? We need to cast her. But before we get on to our talk, David Corenswet, I think you pronounce it, who played the projectionist, was phenomenal in this film. He was really good in Hollywood, which was a Ryan Murphy show that aired on Netflix, where he played a gigolo at a gas station, and We Own the City on HBO. But no, I thought he was great. I mean, he was the perfect, charming, sleazy character. And he played him to perfection.
Yeah, I will say also, why'd I have to bring this up? Anyway, I'm sorry. I've been excited to talk to somebody about it, but obviously I know this episode isn't about that. But I kind of went into this one expecting, again, a little bit more horror heavy and a little bit more sleaze heavy, if not even more than we got in X.
See, I by the trailers I saw before it, I knew it wasn't going to be a horror film. It was just a lot of classy movie trailers and Smile, which I cannot wait till that movie gets released so I never have to see another fucking trailer for that movie as long as I live.
For what movie? I'm sorry?
Smile.
Oh, God. Is that one where this...
Yes.
Like it's a horror. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Rachel and I have been doing that to one another. We'll just like hide in the fucking corner and just.
Yeah, well,
It looks so terrible.
I really don't care about you and Rachel's sex games.
Oh, you love it, Robert. She even makes me call it. She calls me Robert now.
Gross. Gross. All right. Let's get to the conversation at hand. Let's talk about the Vinegar Syndrome release of the Hong Kong action film Righting Wrongs, from 1996. The Vinegar Syndrome
86.
I'm sorry, 86. Yes. Starring Ewan Bao,
76.
Cynthia Rothrock, Melvin Wong, Karen Shepard, Peter Cunningham, and Corey Yoon. So before we get into it, I kind of need to preface my love of Hong Kong cinema. So my buddy Porno Bart brought me a VHS many decades ago.
Sounds classy.
And said, hey, you need to watch this movie called Hard Boiled. And I'm like, what is it? He's like, it's a Hong Kong gangster film. And I am like, this is the last movie I probably want to watch. And the opening sequence of that movie made me fall in love with Hong Kong cinema. I went and sought out all the John Woo movies I could find: The Killer, Bull in the Head, Once a Thief. Yeah, I was a fan. I became a fan of Ringo Lam with City on Fire, the Prison on Fire series, Choi Hark, movies like Full Contact, then some Category 3 films like Sex and Zen, which, in my opinion, is still the best. Guy gets a dick transplant so he can have a horse cock and goes out and fucks a lot of women.
Sounds like I need to give some of these films some more attention. I don't know anything you just said.
I did see this movie under the Above the Law title on VHS many years ago, and again on DVD when Dragon Dynasty released it. And I think it's an okay film, but I think it's an okay film with some amazing sequences in it. But guys, why don't you start off on this one, because I don't want to blow my review.
Well, you want to go? You want me to go, Brian?
Oh, I'm sorry. This was my way of saying, Matt, take the floor.
I'm gonna say that I absolutely loved this movie. I didn't think that I had ever seen it before, and then as I was going into it, I realized that I had. And I, like, when I was growing up, I was a huge Jet Li fan, so I was watching all of. I always thought his name was Corey Yen, so
I probably mispronounced it.
I have no idea. It could go either way. So, so I had seen a bunch of his movies with Jet Li in them. So like revisiting this was really nice because it reminded me of watching all those movies when I was a kid, and really made me think, like, damn, what happened to Jet Li? I think he's like 60 now, so he's probably just not doing this anymore. But yeah, there was a lot of, I'd say, this particular scenes really made it shine. The story obviously was kind of generic. There were a lot of, seems like, parts that were cut out that really could have added more to the story, but I loved it.
Brian?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and there's not a whole tremendous amount I can say about this. This is one that I feel like if anyone watching it is a fan of Vinegar Syndrome and they keep up with their catalog, I do think this is one that could be considered a gem amongst the titles. But for that reason of, I guess maybe like, well, okay. The reason I say this is, like, I couldn't even tell you a thing about the story after only watching it like a couple of weeks ago. It's just, it's very fun, and like the fight sequences are so much fun. Um, Cynthia Rothrock, of course, is a fun staple in these types of films. Did you guys watch it with the new dub?
No, I watched it with in Chinese with subtitles.
Same.
Okay,
Subs
that's
over
what I did
dubs.
too. I was just curious what if anyone had seen the other one. Um, I love. We're sticking with normal format, right? Like where we can spoil this.
Yeah, we can spoil it.
Um, I love the fact that the ending is just so bleak.
Yeah.
Like like everyone's dead. Um, I love that choice. I love when movies go there. You most certainly don't expect that kind of an outcome from a film like this. You
Yeah.
always expect your heroes to walk away, which, from what I understand, there is an alternate cut
Yeah,
where they do.
the 100-minute Cantonese film, which I'll watch
Okay.
at some point.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious at the end when he's like floating and it starts in with that like heavy, like uplifting rock music, and you're like, oh, nice, the hero came out, and it just zooms into him and he's just like drowning in his pool of blood.
Yep, just dead.
Oh, come on, that fall. It's not like he's Jackie Chan in Super Cop. This guy was a lawyer.
No, the reason I was saying it was kind of one of the gems, again, in my opinion, is like I think it's one that even if you're not really necessarily into these films, which when I say that I mean like Hong Kong or even martial arts films, I don't consider myself to be very well versed in that genre at all. I mean, I've seen a bunch of them. Certainly nothing that I've ever like kept up with intentionally, though. It's a good one to watch with some friends, I think. I mean, I watched this one solo and I enjoyed it just fine. I had a lot of good laughs, like a lot of the stunt doubles specifically for Cynthia Rothrock. I mean, they virtually did not try. But talk about some of the fucking stunts in this one, right? Like there's some impressive shit in there.
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, oh my God, he's jumping for what? No, like it's it's a great time. It really is. It's a fun movie, and I loved it.
So here's my thought: if this is your first and this is your entrance point into Hong Kong action cinema, this is a great first movie. If you have gone down that rabbit hole for decades, this movie is an okay addition. And here's the thing I'm realizing that the Golden Harvest library has been divided between Criterion, Eureka, Arrow, and now Vinegar Syndrome. Vinegar Syndrome, as of right now, isn't getting the top tier Hong Kong. They're getting Category 3 films like Ebola Syndrome and this one, which gives me hope that they'll release Naked Killer fully restored. But I think this is just an okay Hong Kong action film with some great moments in it, like the whole mahjong sequence where Cynthia Rothrock arrests all the guys with the one pair of handcuffs.
Oh, yeah, that was great. That was
But
great.
here's the thing: what did they do wrong? I don't think they did anything. That was unnecessary police brutality.
Yeah, again, I really I don't know why. Like nothing of. I feel terrible for saying it because we're here to discuss the film, but literally none of the story stuck with me at all. I was just like, ooh, fight,
the story was paper thin, and it was just there to fuel the assassinations that were going on. Oh yeah, the opening sequence in New Zealand, if that really was New Zealand, I thought was great, and I thought he was righting some wrongs there. But it basically just showed us how corrupt the judicial system of Hong Kong was, and how easy it was for mobsters to get away, and how corrupt the police department was. I don't think this movie had any real good guys.
Well, I think the character that Corey Yoon plays was like a good guy, but he was just kind of like too stupid to realize it. He was my favorite character in the movie, by the way.
Yeah. He was a lawyer who should have been a cop.
Do you think
No,
that
not
opening
him.
segment?
The
Oh, I'm
guy
sorry,
who,
go ahead.
the guy who was always eating real sloppily.
Yep.
That guy.
His death saddened me for a moment when we realized that the chief was not
Yeah.
a good person.
Do you think that opening segment influenced Desperado? Was that the name of the movie?
Huh.
The gun and the guitar case.
I think Desperado was influenced by a lot of things. I mean, in the original,
Oh, I was just trying to make it. I haven't seen that fucking film in so long. That's all I remember.
I love Desperado. I think of the three, that might be my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think my favorite part of this movie is the fact that it was so nihilist. Like, nobody got out alive.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so rare.
Cynthia Rothrock's death was pretty fucking sweet.
It was.
Yeah,
It was.
I was not expecting that.
I was expecting it, and it still shocked me.
So the whole time that part was happening, I thought that it was like going through her shoulder. And I was like, oh, how's she going to get out of this one? And then it cuts around to the front of her, and it's just in her entire neck. And I was like, how is she talking?
Well, I had similar thought, except I realized where it was going through. And I guess I need to watch the alternate cut to see the differences. But again, you just don't expect them all to die. So I'm like, how are they going to bring her back from that? You know?
Well, it explains why there wasn't a series of sequels.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they could have done a sequel or it was all a prequel, like they've done that in Hong Kong cinema.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is this movie a sequel?
I don't think so.
Because I felt like you really need to know why this lawyer is like such a badass. I mean, he needed like a backstory, even a small like, oh, I trained as a kid, done.
Yeah.
It just seemed like almost everybody in this movie knew Kung Fu.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure everyone in 1980s Hong Kong was trained. You never knew when the triad or the Yazuko was going to come and there was going to be a fight.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, well, no, I'm sorry. Miami Connection definitely goes there with why everyone knows Kung Fu. I was going to say that seems to be a pretty typical premise with most of these films that I have seen. It's like, oh, everybody knows it. You know, hey, I'm in Walmart buying some fucking soap and someone just sweeps me. Like, is that what it's called? A leg sweep?
That's something
You got it.
That I thought, was weird. Like the first time I saw it, I thought this was going to be more of a gun fu film, but it was more Kung Fu with guns added to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, really, again, spoiled because John Woo is my first real entry into the Hong Kong gangster movies. Was John Woo made his movies? He made the movies look beautiful. He gave them style and substance. This movie just had action. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was like it's like a porn where you want. Let me rephrase it. Pandora's Mirror had more story than this movie.
I mean, I guess just to add some positivity to that, though, because I do agree with you. But if you were in the mood to just turn your brain off and watch, in my opinion, what was a really fast paced, just kind of, again, just turn your brain off and just watch some really, really fun stuff. And in my opinion, some very well executed action scenes. This is a great time.
No, you're absolutely right. But after I finished watching it, I wanted to watch City on Fire, and I don't remember where I put it. I think it's in the back of one of the shelves, which is probably the best Chow Yun-fat film not directed by John Woo, and pretty much a blueprint for Reservoir Dogs. So you should see City on Fire.
Are you saying Sydney on fire?
City.
I'm sorry.
City on Fire.
City on
Yeah.
fire. Okay.
Yeah. There are a few
I'll
movies
have to
by
check
that
that
name,
out.
but this was directed by Ringo Lam. And I hope at some point somebody releases that, or Criterion releases a John Woo box set sometime in the next year. Because these movies are just making me hungry for really good versions of those films.
Yeah. What's going on with his movies? I know like 88 Films put out a couple of them on Blu-ray, but I haven't seen anything from anyone else.
I'm guessing Criterion might have the rights to them. I don't know for a fact, but I mean, last year they released Once Upon a Time in America. This year they're releasing Infernal Affairs. It's probably trying to find the elements to do superior versions of The Killer, Hard Boiled, and the Better Tomorrow series. I mean, that's the one I want. Those have never been released on Blu-ray in the States.
Yeah.
I still have my raggedy DVDs somewhere for those films.
Yeah, I got one from 88 Films. It was Heroes Shed No Tears. It's supposed to be really good, but I haven't seen that one released here either.
I'm hoping a lot of 88 Films back catalog. I mean, Eureka is now releasing movies here. So I'm hoping we're going to get more and more of those. I find that either when Hong Kong cinema is released over here, it's the death knell for any medium.
Have you guys ever seen a film? It goes by several different titles. I think the two most popular are The Cat, and it also goes by I think it's 10,000 Years Cat.
I've never heard of that one.
It was played as a double feature at Central Cinema here in Knoxville. They paired it up with The Uninvited from Vinegar Syndrome, and God, it was. I remember it being a really slow burn, and there were definitely some beverages consumed, so I can't really remember a lot. But there was this extremely charming scene where a Rottweiler and our cat are going through they're fighting in this junkyard. Anyway, I have looked this film up, and apparently it does exist on DVD. Apparently it is like ultra fucking rare. At one point in time I had tracked one down on eBay, and I purchased it only to receive a message about a month later saying that it wasn't available. I don't know how that works. But I would love to see that film restored, and I wish I knew more about it. I know that our mutual friend Jesse, that is a part of our movie group, he's familiar with the film. He knows about it.
Is it a Hong Kong film?
Yeah, I think so. And I remember there being like some very like mystical elements to it. Like this cat was like somehow connected with like a supernatural world, or even it may have even been like an alien type of sci-fi thing going on there. It's very strange. But yes, I do believe it is Hong Kong.
Yeah, I see it here. I feel like 88 Films released this.
Well, they did release a movie called The Cat, I think, but I don't think it was the same film. But I also hope you prove me wrong, because if there is a Blu-ray of it, I want it like immediately.
It's probably limited edition.
Oh, it's Black Cat. Never mind.
Was that the action film, the superhero one?
The superior one you haven't seen?
I said superhero.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I saw that one. That's one I think Miramax released it back in the 90s. So going back to righting wrongs, the dubbing for Cynthia Rothrock in the Mandarin version was so bad.
I thought hers was really bad, and the guy who came in and tried to kill the main guy in his apartment later.
Okay. You mean the guy who dressed up as a cop and killed the family at the beginning?
Yeah, that guy. His dub was literally just like the whole time.
You know what? That character intrigued me I want to know how he ended up in Hong Kong. I want to know his backstory. I just imagine him being like a U.S. soldier, mercenary for hire, who ended up there thinking this was going to be the easiest, best paying job. He didn't give a shit in the world because his wife was murdered by someone, the Triad, and he was working his way through the ranks to try to kill them. And then Corey Yun just ruined his story, which makes him.
And
the
I hate to not be able to offer much to the conversation regarding characters, but with sticking with the elements of the film that I did thoroughly enjoy, that parking garage scene was so cool. I was so impressed with that stuff. Again, you're watching this like ultra low budget film, but you're watching these guys perform. Of course, they're stunt doubles as we've discussed, but it's so fast. Like, this movie is so fucking fast paced. Like, I love it.
Yeah, I think it ran 95 minutes or 97 minutes, and it didn't feel like 97 minutes.
No, not at all. I kept watching the bar fight scene. I was just like, keep doing that. Oh, what and they
I was
didn't
going to say
let
both Corey Yen and John Woo do that, like, just swinging around cars in small spaces, like, really well.
Yeah. But do you think this movie felt consistent?
What do you mean, plot wise, or
not plot wise? Just, do you think it was action wise consistent? Like action, tiny bit of story, action. I don't think there was that big of a good of a balance between action and story.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it was more action. But I mean, I honestly felt like it was paced really well, because I mean, it was clear you weren't going to get like a deep story, so I was fine with like going from encounter to encounter.
But that's the thing. In a lot of these movies, you got a deep story, especially the John Woo stuff.
Yeah.
Like, The Killer is a heartbreaking story. And you have such an emotional attachment to both the lead actors, and when it comes off to their final face-off, and I use those words pretty purposely because John Woo kind of ripped off The Killer for the final sequence of Face Off, which I was reading that someone is making a Face Off 2 coming out in 2023.
Nice. Same actors, hopefully?
No, and no involvement from John Woo.
Damn it.
Well, I will say, and I guess I'm probably the wrong, like, depending on what kind of recommendation you would like. I mean, I guess I'm possibly the wrong person to ask, because not being, again, very well versed in these types of films, I just had so much fun with it that it didn't bother me that there wasn't much of a plot. Again, I was just like, holy shit, this is whatever we said, 95, 97 minutes of just nonstop action fun. And it didn't upset me that there was, to me, like, nothing deeper to be found, because the action sequences were that much fun, and they drew me in that much.
They were fun.
But again, I could see how it would be frustrating for someone who has seen a lot more of these and like, well, where's the substance? You know what I mean?
But also some characterization would have been nice as well. Like, again, why did the lead character, why did he know kung fu? What was his reason for it? Why was Cynthia Rothrock's character such a by the numbers cop? Why was she? Who was she loyal to? Was she loyal to Hong Kong, or was she loyal to England?
No, I totally get it. I guess this is just, action has never really been like one of my favorite genres, so it's like, to me, I am Hollywood's like prime audience, right? Like, let's blow shit up and fucking do this shit. This dude's gonna love it. And yeah, that is me. If you apply that logic to other genres, I'm totally different. I like the majority of any other genre, actually, with like a lot more depth to it. Action, though, I'm just like, yeah, hurt people. Like,
no,
I want to see that person flip around. So, you know what I mean? Like, it just depends on who you ask. It worked for me But I totally understand. Like if someone was like, "Oh, is this a thought-provoking film that I should put at the top of my list?" Probably not. I can recognize that as a film lover. Like it's not like top tier cinema. It's just turn your brain off and have fun. And
Yeah, and from the two Hong Kong films that Vinegar Syndrome has released, this is much better than the Ebola Syndrome.
kind of apples and oranges, though. I mean, I really enjoyed Ebola Syndrome, but
You know what? It was better than Suburban Sasquatch.
no, sir,
Ouch.
no, sir, no,
Ouch.
sir, no, sir.
I'm going to rewatch it next week and give it another.
No, I don't even want to hear you talk. Okay, you just talk about it with your other friends. I'm done.
My other friends don't. My other friends don't understand it. My other friends are like, Robert.
Apparently, you don't understand.
This is a movie about. This movie is about a Native American woman going after a Sasquatch. You could just watch a better version of it called Prey.
Can we talk about how she's not Native American? Oh my God, Dave Waskovich, you racist fuck.
Did you guys ever see Rikio?
No, I've never seen that one. I know Brian has.
Man. Did you notice him in this movie?
No.
He was the little or like the young guy whose grandpa got killed, like the young guy that's kind of
Yeah.
throughout the movie. That was him, like super young.
Oh shit.
Wasn't Rikyu a Japanese film?
I think that was Hong Kong too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a cat. That's a cat 3.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was nice to see him in there.
For my category 3 films, I like a lot more boobs in it. This movie was lacking boobs and sex,
Yeah.
and the guy getting a horse stick.
True, that's true. It did have a lot of.
And it didn't have Amy Yip in it, who is also in Sex and Zen.
I know this is probably it might be boring to you guys, but I did watch some of the special features on Righting Wrongs, and one thing in particular, I don't know why, this is one that I clung on to. I was watching an interview with Cynthia, and did you guys know she was only 5'3"?
Oh, no,
Like when she said it, I was like, that makes sense on why a lot of the camera angles are the way they are to make her look large. I kind of expected her to be, rather on the tall side.
If she was 5'1", we would play the Iggy Pop song. The only special feature I watched was the Sam Dayton video essay. Because I don't know if you know this, Sam Dayton follows me on Letterboxd, so I'm loyal to her.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Can I bring up
Almost
another little?
famous.
This is about the packaging.
Please do.
Does your disc, the first disc, because this is like the tray, my disc barely sits in there.
No, mine's fine.
Oh yeah, my disc number 1 was just floating around willy nilly. The second one was kind of halfway hanging off. Third one's in there pretty snug.
Yeah,
Right.
second and third of mine are fine. The first one, I mean, just barely by a fucking thread. I actually have left it laying flat because I don't want to. I'm going to have to get a replacement case for it.
Yeah.
That's how it is for me with a lot of the Doctor Who DVDs that come out. They don't sit in there. But enough of that. How many pairs of handcuffs would you give this movie, Matt?
I'm kind of going almost all in. I don't know if it was the nostalgia or what, but really, really enjoyed it. I'm going not quite all the way in, but I'm gonna go 4.5.
Okay. Brian, how many pairs of handcuffs are you giving this?
I actually am going to go all the way in, and again, this is solely just based on pure entertainment value. I know that there are many ways to look at this. I personally, and sometimes I'm grateful for it, especially in cases like this where I'm okay with the lack of plot. I'm okay with that stuff. It doesn't bother me. I had so much fun with this movie that I would feel wrong not giving it my 100% recommendation. It was just such a good time. I think it would work for most audiences as well. I don't think that most people outside of our circle, would kind of turn their nose up at it or something. It's just a really fun movie. It has its issues, but I was okay with every one of them. It worked for me.
I'm going to go with 2.5 pairs of handcuffs.
Ooh.
And let me explain why. If this was the first time I saw a Hong Kong action film, if this was my entry point of the genre, I'd give it 5. But I have to think about all the other films. Like I would give The Killer and Hard Boiled and Better Tomorrow 1 and 2 5, 4.5 to 5. And because of that, I can't give this film the same, because it's not in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
And it's not even the best
That
category.
was the most that was the most backhanded way of telling me and Matt that we don't know what we're talking
No. You guys do. And again, if this wasn't the first, if this was the first movie I saw or an early one, I would be on board of going all in as well. But it's just it feels like someone glommed onto the trend of these films, and I can't even say they didn't have the budget. They had a fucking helicopter scene. Do you know how expensive helicopter scenes are? That's where most of your budget goes.
Pretty impressive helicopter scene as well.
A very impressive helicopter scene where the bad guy bit it, the good guy bit it, everyone bit it.
No,
and that's also something.
I was only.
I'm going to give
go ahead. I'm sorry.
The bravery of killing every character in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that is something also to elaborate on just a little bit, because in that interview with Cynthia Rothrock, she had discussed like how that was always the intention, was to kill everyone off, and the whole reason that they went back and shot a new ending or whatever it is, again, I haven't watched the alternate version, was because it didn't settle well with Hong Kong audiences. They were all like really upset by it, like, oh, our heroes are supposed to survive, so they, to raise the ratings a little bit and to appease the crowd, they so. And the other thing I was going to say is, obviously I was just joking there about me and Ben not knowing, but I would love to watch more films like this. It's not action, again, it's not a genre that I'm in the mood for every day. Like horror films, I can pop on any time of the day, any day of the week. I'm always in that mood. I have to kind of specifically be in a mindset for a type of film like this. But every time I do watch them, I'm always really impressed and really surprised, even at some of the ones that I consider not to be good. So any recommendations you guys could give me for ones I would love to check out.
I will give you 2 right now. They are Jet Li movies.
Okay.
The first one is The Legend of Feng Sayuk. It was really it's easy to find. Dragon Dynasty put it out. There was a Jet Li set that Dragon Dynasty put out. It was called The Legend. From what I remember, there weren't very many major differences between the two of them. The second one is The Swordsman Part 2. It's just a wild ass bonkers movie. Brigitte Lin is the bad person in it, and this movie made me fall in love with her. And I'm very tempted to buy the Bride with White Hair 1 and 2 that's now available at Diabolic on a region-free Blu-ray, but it's $64.99, and I have a feeling someone else will be releasing it here in the States domestically in sometime in the next year or two. But those movies are bonkers. Any of the John Woo, Chow Yun-Fat films are phenomenal. Hard Boiled, especially, and The Killer. Bull in the Head, you can find copies of it, but it's not a complete movie. For some reason, I don't think they were able to get the ending, which is weird.
Wait, so does the film just I know this is going to sound
that
stupid,
I
but
don't
does
know.
it just
I
end
own it.
abruptly, or
I
okay.
own it, and I haven't watched it because someone said something with the ending was wonky.
Oh,
Which I find weird because I have seen it before theatrically. Like it was a revival showing in Detroit many years ago. Um, Full Contact is great. The Zoo Mountain is great. The original from Choi Hark. 13th Ghost Story. I think it was called 13th Ghost Story. Chinese Ghost Story is great.
mm,
Um, yeah, I mean, there's just a wealth of these movies out there, and I'm thankful. And also pretty much any of the Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung movies, like Meals on Wheels, Project A, Project A2, and hopefully the movie I'll be getting the next week or two, the Police Story trilogy from Eureka.
So this is all stuff that's pretty much in your wheelhouse as well, Matthew.
yeah. I grew up watching all these, and it's been so long since I've seen them. I was excited about the Arrow set that came out, but those are a little earlier than what I had grown up with, so I wasn't like super into it. But yeah, like the John Woo
Hmm.
stuff, the Jet Li stuff, love it.
Nice.
I was gonna ask you guys though, kind of related to that. Is Vinegar Syndrome the label that you want to see putting stuff out, like righting wrongs, or would you rather see a different label doing that? Does it kind of like go like
I'm
not go with Vinegar Syndrome?
I mean, I think Vinegar Syndrome is, again, their modus operandi, their mission statement to release films that normally wouldn't be getting released. But they aren't the ones doing the restoration on these films. It's Fortune Star, and they're licensing
Mm,
it from them and maybe doing some additional restoration. So I honestly don't care who releases it as long as somebody's releasing them.
mm-hmm.
That said, I'm been happier with the Criterion stuff with Once Upon a Time in China, lesser extent their Police Story 1 and 2, and then I'll pick up Infernal Affairs at some point.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I don't have much to throw in that pot again, just because of what we just discussed. I'm not really that well versed with those films, but Criterion does, in my opinion, kind of make the most sense um, for that genre and for what to re-release. But I don't know.
what's sad is Dragon Dynasty went out of business,
Yeah.
and with it, a lot of the movies that they put, some of the Stephen Chow films. I can't remember the name of it. The one he did before Kung Fu Hustle.
Shaolin Soccer.
No, the one he did before Shaolin Soccer. Like, I can't remember the name of it, but that was a great film. I'm hoping somebody would pick that up. I'm hoping we're going to get a great version of Shaolin Soccer and Kung Fu Hustle at some point.
Yeah.
But
I remember those two sitting on the shelf at Blockbuster when I worked there. Never watched them, but but I
Oh, they're
remember them
good.
being there. By golly.
they were great films. All right, I'm going to go on a tirade right now about something else. So I don't know if you guys know this. I'm a huge fan of Star Trek.
Huge fan of what?
Star Trek. Many months ago, I bought the 4K set of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, The Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and Voyage Home. Very happy with that purchase. Just couldn't figure out why they didn't put all 6 movies in there. Then they announced they were doing more 4Ks of the director's cut of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, the director's cut of Wrath of Khan, then 5 and 6. And then they released another box set. I wasn't going to buy the box set over again. But the box set includes all the director's cuts as well. Why the fuck wouldn't they release that initially? Why the fuck wouldn't they wait?
I'm gonna go with dollar bills, y'all.
It's stuff like this that makes collecting suck.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was 2 to 3 years later, okay, maybe. but within a year, it's fucking bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I got that first box set too, and I was kind of wondering, like, yeah, why aren't the rest of these movies in there? Why are they just putting the first couple? And I just recently last week saw that they were doing the next set. I was like, man, I don't want to like have the set and buy two separate movies that don't go with the set. So I feel like I got to get the set, the new set. I'm terrible at collecting.
I was really pissed. Now I know why people were upset when I Spit on Your Grave. The 4K came out a few months after the Blu-ray. If you're gonna,
they did a pretty, which I agree 100%. I feel like they had to have known that was coming. I'm talking about Spit on Your Grave. I completely denounce you guys after this, by the way, for being Trekkies. I never knew that about you.
I'm not a Trekkie. I like Star Trek.
I like them both.
But no, yeah. What was it they did? It was $20, I think, and they sent you the 4K if you had already purchased the Blu-ray.
Paramount did not do a trade-in for it, and I'm a little bit upset that they didn't do something to people who bought the initial box set.
Yeah.
I'm off my perch on this one right now.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of upsetting overall. Like, I don't know. I feel like especially with new movies, there's no reason to not release. It's especially when it comes to like releasing a Blu-ray first and then releasing a 4K. Like with new movies, I feel like there's no reason why they can't just release the 4K.
Look, here's the thing. I understand.
Yeah, 4K and Blu-ray. Make it standard now. 4K Blu-ray release. Yeah.
I understand that 4Ks are more expensive to produce, and I also understand that the market is limited on that. I mean, we're still in a world where DVD is still the most popular format. And look, I can understand that not every movie is going to come out on 4K, at least here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Because home video is a dying retail market. But I don't understand why companies like A24 or Blumhouse or any of these smaller ones don't offer them on their website.
Yeah.
Because just like with Midsummer, why didn't they release the director's cut on standard home video and you had to order this beautiful booklet of it with no special features?
Mm-hmm.
I never bid on that one. I wanted to, but
it's not limited. You can still buy it.
No, I know they just keep repressing it. We're talking about like the yellow hardback.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have it on 4K. I have it on Blu-ray because I didn't have a 4K player at the time, and it didn't come with both versions in it. But I don't know, man. It's sucky, especially when something's a little bit over $100.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know this isn't specifically talking about what you were, but just on the premise of like rebuying stuff. I went to Grindhouse today before our movie, before Pearl. And it was actually kind of funny because I walked in there a little bit begrudgingly. Like I had a list in my head. I was like, okay, fuck it. I bought Halloween 4K from Scream Factory, and all these are upgrades. I guess this is the point of this conversation is like, how many fucking movies am I going to have to keep upgrading? So I marched in there. I was like, I'm going to get Halloween 2. I'm going to get Halloween 3. They were out of Halloween 3, so I just grabbed 2. I was like, okay, fuck it. Now I'm going to get Child's Play. So I got Child's Play 1 and 2. And then I went and got Fatal Attraction 4K. But anyway, one of the guys that was working there, he's like, you were on a mission. I'm like, yeah, god damn it. I'm so fucking mad at myself for buckling and buying these movies again.
See, I can't do that to myself. Like, I've had Halloween on VHS. I had Halloween on DVD. I have it on Blu-ray, and I have it several ways on Blu-ray, and then ended up buying the box set because it had all the other Halloween movies in there. And I
Oh, did you get that?
The original box set, yeah. I
Oh,
don't.
I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you were talking about the 95 through
No,
whatever it was.
no. Because I think most
Okay.
of those movies are terrible.
They're awful. They're awful.
But
And you know what the sad thing is I'm going to buy them. I'm going to fucking buy them. Because I'm a stupid piece of shit.
No, here's the thing: is you have to realize at some point the upgrade train has to end. Like Lost Boys is coming out on 4K. I love the Lost Boys. I think I might have watched the Blu-ray once. I don't know if I need to upgrade it ever again.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a Friday the 13th 4K set from Shout Factory, I don't know if I need to upgrade that.
Yeah, the Blu-rays for Friday the 13th look great. Now, aiding in what you're just saying there, I did actually the timing on this is really weird, Matt. I guess this is a good point to tell you. When you were saying that you were going to be doing Toby Hooper films throughout October.
No, he's not. It's
I
called
was actually Hooptober.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually kind of in a little bit of a stretch of like, hey, I want to watch Toby Hooper films. So I have had Life Force, the Arrow Region B, sitting on my shelf for fucking ever. And I just popped it on the other night for the first time. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish it. I fell asleep, got super tired. But anyway, bringing it back to the conversation, the point is like that Blu-ray looks so fucking good. And I know it has a 4K upgrade, but I was like, I don't necessarily have to have that. So I might hold off on the 4K of that because the Blu-ray is gorgeous. I mean, I don't really see how much more enjoyment I could get out of spending $40 for the fucking 4K upgrade of it.
And here's the thing about a lot of 4Ks that bug me is I have to put the Blu-ray in for the special features. And I'm getting sick of that. It's like when I watch a movie, I want to just go right to the special features and not have to work for it.
Yeah.
The only one that I have actually been upset by was Dead and Buried from Blue Underground.
It's on my shelf. That's sitting right next to Freaky, and I still haven't watched either one.
Well, there's only one segment in the film that actually upsets me. Now, I have seen Dead and Buried before. This wasn't my first watch. But no spoilers, of course. There's a segment that takes place on a boat, and it is so fucking dark. Like, I mean, I literally turned every light off, and I was still struggling to tell what was going on. I'm like, what the fuck?
This is on the 4K.
Yeah. I was like, good God, this looks like shit. But I mean, again, it's just that one segment. The rest of the film's glorious. Uncle Sam is probably one of my favorite 4K upgrades that I've ever seen. Saying from Blue Underground as well.
Blue Underground isn't known for quality.
Well, again, I mean, I would say it like truly with specifically at this point, I only own 3 or 4 of their 4K upgrades. I would say Uncle Sam is by far the best. Maniac was pretty good. I thought Maniac looked nice.
I still have the Blu-ray of that, the deluxe one, and I don't know. It's like, when is enough enough? How many different versions of Maniac, Zombie, House at the Edge of the Cemetery do I need?
Yeah, I put down. There was one today. Was Toolbox Murders Blue Underground?
I
almost bought it today, and I just put it down. And it's a good film, but I was like, I can pass on it.
I remember when I was living in Pittsburgh, I was working this ad agency named Bruner, and we had this designer there, a really cute girl. And one day her and I were talking, and I'm like, so what's your favorite movie? She's like, The Toolbox Murders. I'm like, the original or the remake? She's like, the original with Wesley Ure. And I'm like, how come you have a boyfriend?
I didn't know there was a remake. When did that come out?
90s, early 2000s. I don't even know if it's a remake. It just might have the same title.
Same title. It's based on a true story, if I understand correctly. I think that's a true case.
You know what? I think almost every movie you can say is based on a true story.
Oh.
What about Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody was murdered once on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Fucking
By a turkey.
Poltergeist is based on a true story.
All right. On that note, guys, what movie shall we watch? What movie shall we watch next week?
I have not watched, aside from, God, I can't even keep up with the months, so please forgive me. But I'm trying to think of the last Vinegar Syndrome. So I haven't watched any of the last haul except for the Incredible Melting Man. That was the most recent one I watched. I haven't watched Birds 2. I haven't watched the Western flicks. I haven't watched any of those.
We were talking before you came on that I have not watched any of the Vinegar Syndrome Prime releases this month. I've watched, again, almost all the partner labels and Unmasking the Idol.
Oh, this, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just don't want to forget again because I actually meant to send you guys a message the other day and I forgot, and it just crossed my mind. At some point in October, so during official spooky season, have you guys done a review of Censor yet?
Yeah.
Did you? Damn it. Okay.
It was one of our very first ones, yeah.
Okay. I was going to say I'd love to rewatch that film and discuss it, but
I'll
just comment on it.
I wasn't on that episode because that's when my back went out. So,
I mean, we can do it.
Let's do Censor again. Let's do it.
I'd be down for a revisit because I didn't feel like I really enjoyed it the first time, so I'd be down to watch it again.
Yeah, but all right, we're gonna do that in October. What are we gonna watch next week?
Yeah. I'm going through here.
Birds 2. I'm kind of excited to watch it, and plus it'll give me a reason to rewatch The Birds, which I haven't seen in quite some time.
I mean, I'm down.
All right,
I'm down for whatever.
I begrudgingly go on with that.
I was about to say this is like the most like, okay, god damn it.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Let's talk about Over the Top again.
No, let's talk about The Birds too. Land's End.
For God's sakes, no, not Over the Top.
You know, every time I look through my letterbox, I see the reminder that I watched it. All right, let's end this week's episode. I'm going to say one thing. If you haven't seen Clerks 3 yet, go out and see it before.
Oh, God. Yeah, I want to see it so bad.
You'll cry.
Or, hold on. Or do you guys want to watch or talk about Pearl next week? Because I'll see it this week.
Let's talk about Pearl.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so
It's
Pearl.
It's hip.
And
It's new.
We'll do 2. We'll do Pearl and Birds 2.
I'm down with that. I am down with that.
That's
We
a
will
mix.
see you next week. As always, hit subscribe, hit like, comment, share, save. Do whatever you can to get our algorithm up there. We want to take Master Chaos down in subscribers.
Oh, God.
Bingo.
I mean, I can just put something weird on my face if you want. All right, guys.
Welcome to the Party Palace, pals.
Did you pre-order this? Did you do it?
Let's take a line from Die Hard. All right, guys. We'll see you next week from the non-Party Palace. Buddies.
See ya.
Bye.
See you guys.